So what should you expect for a final walkthrough if you're the seller? Hey guys, it's Les with the Les Walden Real Estate Team, and I had a seller reach out to me the other day. We scheduled a final walkthrough and they were like, well, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Well, as the seller, you just need to make sure a couple of things are right. You don't need to really do anything, just make sure a few things are right. So let's talk about those right now. So the first one is make sure all the repairs are completed. The buyer's going to come through in their final walkthrough, and that's probably the first thing they're going to check. If there were repairs required or asked for in an agreed upon repair addendum to the contract, make sure all of those repairs are 100% completed. The buyer's going to be looking for that. If you've got documentation along the way as you do these repairs, then I would certainly have that documentation or make it available to the buyer so they know who does it. Little pro tip on repairs: hire a professional to do them. If a professional does the repairs, you get a receipt that indicates or shows you had it completed. And if for some reason that repair was not done correctly, then the buyer's recourse is back to the repairman, not to you as the seller, because you didn't actually do the repair. So that's just a little pro tip on that one. The next one is they're going to make sure the HVAC system is working properly. So I wouldn't change, if it's a wintertime sale and it's 30 degrees outside, make sure you keep the HVAC on an acceptable temperature to prove that that system's working properly. Or the same thing for the summertime. Don't reset those things and let the property get hot in the summer or cold in the winter. The buyer in their final walkthrough is going to want to make sure that system is still functioning as it was when they purchased the home. The next thing, cosmetic damages. So there's a couple ways this could pop up in a final walkthrough. The first one is when you're moving out. Be careful moving those big dressers. Be careful moving those giant pieces of furniture, the couches and all those things. They're going to look for additional scarring on the walls, maybe trim work that got popped out of place because you hit it when you're walking through the doorway. Make sure that you're very cautious or careful when you're moving all your furniture out. That's one way that you could see some additional cosmetic damages. Another is, what if there was a hole behind a dresser that maybe even you forgot about until you move the dresser and you're like, oh my God, there's a hole back there. That needs to be repaired because the buyer didn't see that during the home purchase. And again, you didn't try to get by with anything. You just forgot it was back there. It was out of sight, out of mind. So additional cosmetic damages or cosmetic damages that they didn't see when they wrote the contract to purchase your home. Of course, the next thing they're going to look for is any included or missing items. So let's say you agreed to leave the refrigerator. They're going to want to make sure the refrigerator is still there. Or let's say you agreed to leave an ice maker, a standalone ice maker in a basement or something. They're going to want to make sure it's still there. So anything that you agreed to leave with the property in that purchase, make sure it's there. So you're not going to be trying to answer questions about that at the closing table. Where'd it go? And heaven forbid you're moving across the country, got put on a moving truck and it's 4 states away, 5 states away. How in the world do you get that back? And we want to make sure that that is in where it should be. So make sure all the items that you agreed to leave with the property are still in the property. The next thing, and it sounds maybe kind of petty, but cleanliness of the house. You know, as the seller, when you move out, go ahead and clean the house up for that buyer. What a great impression you're going to make on the new homeowner, on your buyer. You'll sit down at the closing table, and I've heard buyers just go on and on and on about how great a home looked, and they were so thankful that the seller cleaned it up when they moved out, because now all they've got to do is move in and start creating those new memories with their family. You know, that you don't want their first memory to be, well, we had to clean for 4 hours before we could even move in. So clean that house up after you move out. So in that final walkthrough, that buyer is super excited to get to the closing table and start getting moved in. And the last thing is, as the seller, expect that the buyer's going to bring their buyer's agent with them. That's just another set of eyes. So they're going to have that person with them that'll help them check to make sure all these things are the way it should be. So just have it that way as a seller. It's nothing that you shouldn't be doing, but those are the things that the typical walkthrough, that's what they're looking for, them to make sure these things are in great shape. You hit these things on the head, and guess what, guys? You're gonna sit through a closing that's just gonna be beautiful, and everybody's gonna be super excited and happy, and you'll walk away from this a successful seller. So if you're thinking about selling your home, Lord, in the next month or this year, 2025, you're thinking this might be the year for me to sell, reach out to us here at the Les Walden Real Estate Team. We would love to talk to you about that, to start figuring out what your goals are, why you want to sell your property, and most importantly, or maybe as importantly, where your home fits into today's real estate market. Guys, the real estate market changes every single day, and for you to know where you are is the first step. How your home fits in that market is the first step of you figuring out if now is the right time for you to sell your property. Reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you think through the process. We'll be happy to help you figure out where your home fits in the market right now and help you figure out if now is the right time for you to sell your home.